I know it's still early for like roster stuff here, but with only 4 outfielders on the camp roster right now, and we don't know the stats of everybody, is it more important maybe now to have a couple utility guys that you could also have play the outfield, maybe as opposed to just one back in March when it was a 26-man roster?
Yeah, I think that you're going to see us moving around a lot of our players, and we have guys that have played center field in the past and feel comfortable with their the reps that they've got in the outfield. They're going to continue with that here the next few weeks before we start games. So guys like Velasquez and Wilkerson that have been playing some outfield, they're going to do a little bit of both. So it's important that we have pieces. Herrera's played in the corners. Even Pat Valleca's gone out in the corners before. So versatility is enormous, especially in this situation. And so I feel good about a lot of our guys have played multiple positions before.
Rich, go ahead with your question.
Brandon, sort of piggybacking on that. I mean, do you think it's possible to replace Trey Mancini in a season? When you don't have an obvious cleanup hitter or big time hitter there.
Yeah, we lost one of the best hitters in my opinion in the American League, and a guy that had an all-star caliber season last year, and that's going to be very, very tough to replace. Not only that, but him in the clubhouse and how he is with the guys, and just his overall, just having him around, it's going to be challenging, and it already is challenging. Not having him here is challenging. But we have to have guys step up, and this is just it's obviously an extremely unfortunate. It's unfortunate to not have him here, and we're thinking about him constantly. I'm wearing the hashtag fight shirt as we speak. I'm wearing it every day, and so he's in our thoughts, and I talk to him and text with him quite a bit. But to not have him, not only not have him in the lineup, but not have him around is something that we're gonna, it's not easy.
John Mioli, go ahead with your question.
How's it going, Brandon? You saw a little bit of Cole Stewart during the spring, but he was, on and off the mound. What can you glean from watching what he was doing today? And can you see differences versus the spring from what he did now?
I did. I really liked his stuff today. Fastball was sitting 94. Some really good secondary stuff. I love the amount of strikes that he threw. He really filled up the strike zone and forced guys to swing the bat. So I thought that was a big step from spring training. We saw him a real limited look in spring. I think just one outing late before we were canceled. But I like the way he threw the ball today a lot, and we're going to continue to give him a long look here this month.
Steve, you're up next. Go ahead with your question.
Brandon, in the last day, some big-name players have decided to opt out of playing the season, and it seems like some others are either considering it or say they might consider it later. Some of the Oriole guys we've heard from have expressed kind of the opposite. They feel confident in everything that's going on. But do you think that's just going to be a fact of life in baseball this year, that some of this will happen? And do you think some of it could even happen with the Orioles down the road?
I think anything can happen. It's 2020. I mean, anything can happen right now, and I don't blame or fault the guys that are, not deciding not to play. I think that's, like I said the other day, that's your own personal choice, and that's a personal decision. And if one of our guys decides that they don't feel like they're comfortable being in this environment, then I am full support. So everybody has their own reasons. I'm hoping that we're building a clubhouse and a culture here of guys having their own free thoughts and having their own choices. And this is a choice that they're going to have, not only my backing, but the organization's backing if somebody decides for whatever reason that they don't feel comfortable playing.
Dan Conley, go up. You're up next.
Yeah, Brandon, as far as the beginning of the season, it was supposed to be 13 pitchers only. Now, obviously, with the expanded, you can, increase that. Do you have a sense on a perfect number, 16, 17, or whatever, as far as pitchers are concerned? And also, do you have an idea right now on intra-squads when you're going to start them?
Yeah, part one is I think that it's really going to depend on the length of our starters. I think that how built up our guys are. I feel comfortable right now, but it's still really early on. I'll know better, it's more of the middle of the month of where we are on the mound. But that's really going to be a big factor in the length of the starters, depending on how many pitchers that you keep. So right now, I don't have any idea. Obviously, you'd love to have some flexibility on the bench offensively as well. I think that's going to be a real weapon for some teams, to be able to, especially with the 3-batter minimum, to be able to line change, to be able to have a balanced bench where you can pinch hit, all the way down through the order and really make it hard on the opposing team's pitching staff. But right now, I don't know where we are. I don't think anybody does, to be honest with you. I don't think any team has a set number of how many pitchers and position players, because we're so early on in this process that we just don't even know. But I think that we'll have a better sense, maybe later next week on where we are on the mound. With the inter squads, yeah, we're planning on scheduling starting in the middle of this week. So here in a few days, we're gonna get guys on the mound against hitters. There's gonna be a defense back there, and we're gonna start playing inter squads here in a few days.
Stan Charles, you're up next. Go ahead, Stan.
Stan's muted. I think we should have a fine system.
Hold on.
Maybe like kangaroo court with the mutes.
Apologize. I thought Jim had been handling it before. How you doing? Good to see you, Brandon.
You too, Stan. Good to see you.
Primarily, I guess I'm talking about DJ Stewart, but are there a couple other players that may have actually benefited from this crazy season, being able either health-wise or just positionally that stand a better chance to be here opening day?
I thought we were pretty healthy in camp. I think that maybe a couple months off break probably helped out Cobb too, possibly. Wojo threw a lot of innings last year, so I think that maybe giving him a few extra months possibly would help him. But I'm not really sure. I think position player wise, I thought we were in pretty good shape. I was happy with how we were playing in camp. I was happy with the condition that our guys were in, and I think that they've kept that. Everybody looks really healthy and in shape and ready to go. So I just think maybe a couple of the pitchers that threw quite a bit last year or coming off of injury might have helped them a little bit.
Rock, you're up next. Go ahead.
Brandon, we've seen quite a few guys throw over these first 3 days, and obviously it's only a couple hours a day, but have Alex and Michael Gibbons thrown yet?
On the mound, on the side.
Fine.
They threw on the side, yeah.
How are they looking?
Really well, really good. Yep. Yeah, they threw the ball well. And they're both throwing live EPs tomorrow. Let me just double check. Cobb for sure is tomorrow, and so many guys. Gibbons also. Live EPs tomorrow.
David Laurilaw, you're up next. Go ahead, David.
Brandon, sports psychology has become increasingly important in baseball recently, and this year is probably more important than ever. Who do you have on staff to handle that this summer?
Well, the one we have hired some sports psychologists in the organization this past year. The one interesting thing with this year is that there's really a limited amount of access to the players from an in-person standpoint because of the tier system that through MLB. So we're only allowed so many people in the clubhouse, as well as there's a lot of restricted access to a lot of our employees. So we have hired a couple of sports psychologists that are in our organization, and we're looking forward to really progress in that way. That was something that we felt like was important last year to catch up with other clubs on in their the way the game is going. And right now we're kind of in the starting process of catching up in that way.
Yeah, can I add a quick follow-up on that, please? To what extent are they prepping the coaching staff so you guys who do have access to the players can handle their issues this summer?
Well, they are on call for us, so we speak with them at any time.
Joe Trezza, you're up next. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, Brandon. How did Hunter Harvey look, and is he a guy who could benefit from this shorter season given his injury history and the workload concerns going forward for him?
Yeah, so Hunter threw a live BP today. Ball was coming out great. Was throwing mid to upper 90s. Slider looked good. The split looked good. So thought it was a really good first day for him. He looks like he's in great shape. I know he really stayed on it these last few months. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know how much concern I had with him this year. I think we were going to play it by ear throughout a 162-game season. Now with a little bit of a shorter sprint season, I like to use him as much as possible, but not obviously push the limits on him. He's a really important part of the Orioles organization going forward, and I'm going to do what's right for Hunter Harvey. But I'm just going to listen to him every day and see how he feels. And if this little break maybe helped him out a little bit, I'm not sure. But right now he looks great, feels great. And I'm just going to listen to him and the medical staff and the pitching coaches on a day-to-day basis with his usage.
John Mioli, you're up. Go ahead, John.
Hey, Brandon. I saw today that the A's still had players in their intake process, like you said you guys had yesterday, and they ended up canceling the workouts. Did you guys give any thought to that? And is there anything you could share on players who are still in that process or might have tested positive through it?
Yeah, with the intake and the COVID stuff, Mike is going to address you guys here at some point later this week regarding our policies on releasing names and releasing how many positives or whatever numbers we have. So I know Mike's going to handle that with you guys later this week.
Mark Viviano, you're up next. Go ahead, Mark.
Hey, Brandon. You've mentioned, and some of the guys have mentioned, you've got pitchers in one clubhouse, position players in another clubhouse. You got some guys early in the day, some guys later. So you're building a team, and you've got guys who may not even see each other or talk to each other over the course of this. How odd is that, and how are you going to work through that as you get closer to the season?
It is odd, and as one of our – I was thinking about that this morning. Is it's tough to build chemistry when you're so spread out and you're in different clubhouses, and you're the camaraderie part of this. I think the inter squads are going to really help, and we're going to do some fun competition stuff during that time. But to get everybody on the field at once, even though we are in separate clubhouses, I think our guys are doing a pretty good job of intermingling safely. Our guys have used an app all this whole time where they're talking constantly with you through a group kind of chat. And I know that I feel like some of these guys have told me, I feel like they feel like it's brought the club even closer together. So I think they've continued that. And I know they had a meeting amongst themselves a couple of days ago, which I think is fantastic. And so even though we're not all in the field at the same place or at the same time, as well as being in the clubhouse, we're going to do the best we can to try to keep that chemistry and the camaraderie that we had to go in spring training, as well as the culture we started last year. I felt like was a real positive part of our season. I'd like to obviously continue that. So that is a little bit of a challenge being so spread out, but we're going to do the best we can, and hopefully these inter squads with more guys on the field at once help out with that also.